guys, today's video is going to be a little bit different and I want to start incorporating these a little bit more. So I wrote down 5 things that I wish I knew before I amputated. And we're just going to start off with number 1. The last one has been the most challenging, so stick around for that. But the very first one is you are not getting rid of the pain. So as you know, my amputation was like elective because I did have the alternative to just not cut it off and just be wheelchair bound, in pain, and I would know my situation was only getting worse, right? So like it was elective, between a rock and a hard place, but you're not getting rid of your pain. So I still on a daily basis have a ton of pain. Mainly now it's from the socket. So if you don't know, the socket is like this part that your residual limb actually like sits into, and that's what causes me the most pain right now. I'm still in like the fitting process, so eventually I'm hoping that that pain will lessen. But I really just think that that's a part of life, and I think it will always just be a part of my life now, is having some degree of pain. Now, none of these reasons are to sway you like from amputating, but it's also just to like shine light on the reality of it and not just like all of the great good things that come with amputation, which there are some, right? But yeah, you're definitely not getting rid of your pain. As far as phantom pain, I'm gonna do a separate video on what my phantom pain looks like and what it is, compared to maybe what other people are dealing with. But for me, I do still deal with phantom pain, and I do like, it's more so at night, and then just random spurts throughout the day of phantom pain. But the majority of my pain is from the socket. So compared to my foot, the pain is very different. Like I did get rid of like my foot's bone crushing pain. But depending on the severity of the pain I'm dealing with the socket, at times it's very similar on like the 0 to 10 pain scale. But you're not getting rid of your pain, so just keep that in mind. But one thing that I really like is my aunt actually told me this. She was like, you're not getting rid of your pain. You have to know going into it that you're trading one set of problems for another set of problems. And that is 100% accurate. It's like the devil you know versus the devil you don't know, right? And so you just have to weigh that for yourself. Number 2, the second thing that I wish I knew before I amputated my leg, that I, for some reason, kind of thought that, and this is from my perspective where I'm at right now, right? Like just almost 6 months post-op. But I had the impression and understanding that I would be getting rid of my mobility aids. The other ones that, you know, I was hoping I would never need to use again, like my wheelchair, my crutches, my cane, my knee scooter, my ottobock, all of those things. I was hoping that like those were a thing in the past. Now my main like mobility aid is just gonna be my prosthetic, and then I'll be able to get around no problem. That is not true. That is not true, especially where I'm at right now. But I do think that there's always gonna be times in my life when I have to use some type of aid other than my prosthetic and rely on that. Some of those times in my life, what I'm thinking is like when I'm trying to get a good fitting leg, like in the in-between from when my leg doesn't fit well and I'm building a new one. I think that there's just always gonna be times when it hurts too bad, or it doesn't fit, or I can't get in it, or maybe it got taken because it's getting fixed and adjusted and all of this stuff, and I'm gonna have to have something else to like get around so that I can still be as independent as possible. But that was something that I definitely didn't think that I would be using it as much as I am currently. Like I definitely thought by this point I'll be somewhat solid on my prosthetic. It'll kind of be what it is as far as my nub, which is not true. My nub is fluctuating like crazy right now. But I kind of thought like, okay, well it is what it is. Maybe 6 months out, and then I can start putting those other aids in the closet, right? And like not having to touch them. But honestly, the last 2 months, I have not used my leg at all because it hasn't worked. It's been way too uncomfortable. Like I can't even bear weight through it. And like I said, I'm in the process of getting it fitted. So right now I can finally walk around on this one. But it's still not like reliable. You know what I mean? Like I still, when I went out with my friends the other day, I got stranded. Sorry, when I went out with my friends the other day, I got stranded because it felt like I was gonna hold up and I would be able to use it, and I just wasn't at all. So then I got stranded. I didn't have any other aids around me, so we really had to get creative on getting me back to the car. But yeah, that's number 2. There's always going to be times that I think I have to use mobility aids, and don't go into an amputation thinking that you're not ever going to need those, because truth is, like, at least for myself, I've been needing those a lot, and a lot more than I would have wanted to or ever had, like, could have imagined. You know what I mean? Like, it was never a thing on my radar. But number 3, the third thing that I wish I knew before I amputated, is everything is exhausting. And this is one thing that, like, coming home from the inpatient rehab center and coming home from the hospital of the surgery took me out, is everything is exhausting. Like, and exhausting on every single platform that you could think, like mentally, physically, like all of it is just like emotionally so exhausting. A great example of this is the shower. The shower is so exhausting for me because I shower in my parents' right now because it's bigger, it's easier to get into and easier to make transitions, right? So I shower in theirs, but then I have to go from them, like from their bathroom to my room. And then when I'm in my room, I have to like walk around on my knees to get anything that I need to get dressed, get lotion, like all of that. Or I'm like crutching, but the bedroom, like it's not the best to crutch because it's like you have to get things high, you have to get things low. So like it's easier to just go on your knees, but it's so exhausting. Like I literally still, but more so straight after surgery, but like definitely still, it's like I'll shower and then I'll need a nap. Like I will need to sleep right after I shower because I'm just pooped for the day. I'm just exhausted. And that's with like anything, is you just have to think about things so much more. And like, if your leg doesn't fit, okay, well, how do you do laundry? Okay, I need to take the dog out. I need to do all these things. If it means like crutching down a set of stairs to let the dog out, to then crutch out the garage, and then come back up and crutch up, and then get your clothes together, and you're on your knees, and you're like, everything is just more exhausting. And I just didn't expect, I knew it was going to be harder for sure. Like I'm not naive to that, but I didn't think it was going to be this exhausting. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but everything is just exhausting now. And I know that that's also like, I'm just getting used to everything. Like I'm getting reoriented with like my new life and getting familiar with how to do things now, but that transition is exhausting. So I'm really hoping that it's smooth sailing a little bit down the road, but still adjusting. Number 4, the 4th thing that I wish I knew before I amputated is that one day you can be doing absolutely amazing and feel over the moon and so happy, and the next moment or the next day, you could be completely struck down by grief. And that's one thing that I just like for some reason didn't expect. Like I knew it was going to be hard, but I didn't expect, and like I had gone through the grieving process of like those 4 years and my old life and everything, but it always kind of comes and goes. Like I don't know why I expected it to be any different with this, but for instance, yesterday I had a really bad bout of like the PTSD that came back up last night, and just dealing with that, it's like I can feel super great and like on top of the world and so happy and content with my decision, and then the next day it's like the weight of my life and like the weight of how my life looks now just like sinks in, and it's like it's just debilitating. It's just heartbreaking. Like I don't know how to describe it, but you can be so good one day and like so bad the next moment. Or there can be one thing like talking about something that happened in the 4 years or something that just sets you back so far, and you just like, it all comes flooding back and you're like, okay, wait, maybe I'm not doing as good as I thought that I was initially. And I honestly don't really know how long that's going to take to get better, but yeah, that's just part of it that I don't know. I think that I always just thought I was doing better than I was. You know what I mean? Like you just think you're doing better than you are, and then it all hits you and you're like, okay, maybe I'm not doing as good. And then you're like, no, like it doesn't discredit how I was doing before. I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to end it there. Some days you can be doing like amazing, and some days you're just back in the loss and the sadness and the reality of it all. So just give yourself grace with that, because that happens. And number 5, the 5th reason, or like the 5th thing I wish I knew before I amputated, has also been one of the most challenging things. And I mentioned it before, it's the freaking socket and the prosthetic. So I didn't realize, like, before I amputated, I got a lot of help from other people and a lot of advice, and they always said, like, you will be at your prosthetist a lot. So, like, be prepared for that because it's going to be a big part of your life now. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, that adds up. They're making me a leg. It's going to take a long time. But, like, it didn't really register then like it does now. Like, you literally, or I guess I'll speak for myself. Everybody's going to be different. But, like, my experience, I have been to the prosthetist every single day. Like, literally every single day. Multiple hours a day. And, like, it's not my prosthetist's fault. Like, he's amazing. He's great. And he's so patient. But it's just like, that's just what it is when you're an amputee. And I did not realize that. And I also didn't realize that, like, when you're at the prosthetist, it's not like you're just, like, at the prosthetist. It's, like, emotionally so draining because you have to do these things like walking up and down on a leg that doesn't fit so that you can get a good sense of where the irritated or, like, bad spots are. And so you have to, like, push through the pain, you have to go through all of that, and like emotionally it's hard to be in that degree of pain again, or just be feeling defeated because it's not fitting. And then after all of those appointments, like, you still leave and you still don't have a leg that works and you're back on the aids that you wanted to get rid of before, and it's like the reason why you amputated was to be more functional and more independent with only the use of a prosthetic, but it's the exact opposite right now because you can't use a prosthetic and you're back in the wheelchair, you're back on crutches, and then you just kind of spiral, right? And you're like, okay, well, the whole point of me doing this was XYZ, and like XYZ isn't even happening. And then it's the same thing, you go back again. But the thing is like, it's a necessary evil because if you don't keep going back to the prosthetist, you're never gonna get a leg that fits. And then you're never gonna be like where you want to be at the end. So it's just, that's one thing that just like, it's just exhausting. And it's hard too because like with work, like I keep asking myself, like, how do people do this with work? Like, I work right now, but my job is absolutely phenomenal. Like, they've been so understanding. And so it's just one of those things that I'm like, I just didn't expect to go this much. Like, I just didn't expect, I know everybody said it, but like, it's just different when it's you, I guess. I didn't expect to go this much, and I didn't expect it to be so taxing. Like, you could go, and when you leave, you were just exhausted. Like, physically, yeah, a lot of the time physically, I'm like, I'm not wearing anything else on my nub. It's beat up right now. Like, I feel like it just needs to air out and have a break. But then mentally and emotionally, I'm like, I need a freaking break. Like, I am just wiped out from the day. I'm exhausted. It's just a process. And one that, like, you feel so hopeful. You feel so hopeful that, like, oh, today's the day I'm going to go in and I'm going to have a leg that fits. And then to have that kind of, like, altered a little bit and changed and, like, no, it's not going to be done today. You're not going to be able to wear it today. But maybe in, like, a day or maybe in 2 days or, you know, whatever the timeline is. Is just, again, it goes back to what number 3 is, just exhausting. So those are 5 things that I wish I knew before I got amputated. If you like this, let me know. I'm happy to do more of these. I have so many that I've been keeping in my notes of like, this is different, or I didn't expect this, or this and that. So let me know if you want to see that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for following along my journey with me. Bye.